More than I need, what you want, girl, it's yours. Give me your feelings, I just can't ignore. 'Cause all I want is you, baby. Give me your time, all your love, I've been patient.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Russell the Fourth.
Hey everybody, it is me, Brandy.
And welcome to another episode of the What They Never Told Us podcast. We back. And we're back. We missed the live last week.
Yeah, we was all under the weather.
Man, and y'all saw last episode. Y'all know me. I usually have a little more energy than that, but I was out of it. And I don't even know if I'm 100% sure what was wrong, but just no energy. Just none.
And I can usually power through it, just about anything. But when my baby is sick, I don't know. It takes it to another level. We ended up having to take her to the emergency room that night. So thank you for all those who pray for us. We are on the mend. And we're back.
Yeah, I'm back today. I'm ready to pod. I told Brandy yesterday, I was like, man, I'm so excited about podcasting.
Now what we going to talk about?
Yeah, like what? I don't know, but I'm excited about talking, you know. Nah, but got through the week, and this weekend's been fun. It's our kidless week, so y'all know what that means. Those of y'all that's been rocking with us for a while.
Day night.
When the kids are away, Mama and Papa will play.
And we went to one of our favorite places. So we had a long discussion about our favorite place, Horrocks, on one of the kickbacks last season, and how we frequently turn that into a date night. So for those of you who don't know, Horrocks is a grocery store, but it's like a grocery store on steroids.
Yeah.
They literally have everything that you can ever think of in there, and except for dental floss, we found.
This is definitely like a 30 and up date, though. Like, you're married when you go on this date.
Well, I feel like they have an open bar in there, or not an open bar, but like
I'm about to say,
not an open bar. You have to pay for it.
They ain't walking around with no Hennessy.
You have to pay for it, but they have beer on tap, and then they have a wine bar, so you can like get your drink and grocery shop at the same time, and you can walk around and drink. They have a hot bar. You can buy food. They got sushi. They got gelato.
It still is just a grocery store.
It's
so
more than a grocery store.
But you can drink. Wait, we don't drink, so that's not really our thing. But the gelato is hidden. Walk around with a little bit of gelato. You know, smell some candles. When I think about it, it's really an old people day.
It's actually kind of lit. Whatever.
Look. I'm not saying it ain't lit because I enjoy it. I'm just saying I wanted to put it in proper perspective for people that go there.
Don't judge us, judge
your mama. Is a lot of produce. It's a large salad bar. Okay, a lot of baked goods. But, you know, if you're one of those like homebody people, it's lit. We like it. So did that. Went to Lansing Shuffle. Now, we told y'all about Lansing Shuffle last time we had our date night. That was a spot that has like a bunch of different food spots inside of it. So we gave that a second visit. And I need to talk to y'all about something. I want to talk specifically to my community, my ethnicity.
Black people.
Get
specific.
Listen here. So, first of all, the reason why I went back is for the spot. And when you talk about black business as it pertains to restaurants, the issue is rarely the food, okay? Food is usually on point, okay? It's the service. Like, first of all, we both... should we say the name of the place?
No. I mean, if you can go to Lansing Shuffle, it's literally the only black-owned
business. It's a
business
Jamaican barbecue spot in there. So it's fusion of Jamaican cuisine and American barbecue. So like jerk ribs. They got like a Caribbean elote, like a Caribbean street corn, Caribbean fries. It's a dope fusion spot. But when I say the amount of irate people who were waiting for their food, it was insane.
I don't wait well in general. I have a problem with waiting. But when it particularly comes to food, and that day I hadn't eaten all day. So by the time we got there at 6 o'clock, I was hungry.
Full blown hangry.
And the fact that we had to wait 50 minutes, I think, for food was just... It was ridiculous. And I'm like, we getting ribs. Like, they on the same slab. Just cut off 2 bones and give them to us. Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah, and this is how you know it was a problem. Because usually, you know, there's cultures are different, right? And usually, not across the board, but usually cultures kind of tend to have a similar temperament and disposition, right? This was just across all cultural lines, all color lines. It was all manner and race and creed of people irate outside this restaurant. White people like, this is ridiculous. Black folk out there like, I ordered my food 50 minutes ago. There was a white girl out there like, I've been waiting here for French fries for 45 minutes. I said, all you ordered was fries? Yes.
It was crazy.
It was crazy. 45 minutes.
Like, the food wasn't that good. We've been there before, and the food was delicious. So if you're someone in the area, definitely go check them out. Just don't go super hungry.
I ain't gonna. The first time, this was an issue, though. So I don't know if today was just a bad day. Maybe they had a new employee or something.
But you had your food before me last time. You ate at a different spot. And I got my food. And
now the Asian people... They pumping their food. they pumping their food out. The wonton nachos was there. The wings, it was quick with it. Look, but yeah, it was an experience to say the least. Now, look, all negativity aside from those things, I still say support them. My food,
check it out.
I enjoyed my food. I had this rum glazed pork belly. Oh my God.
I don't know if they threw in the loaded French fries for our troubles, but that was the best thing that I ate. And on top of the fact that it was free.
They didn't throw that in. They didn't know
they
know what they was doing. They just throw anything on our tray. And you think I was about to say something as long as I waited? Yep, give me the French fries. Yeah,
but yeah, good. Of course, we always recommend Lansing Shuffle. It's just a good time. They had a DJ that was pumping like 90s gangster rap. I don't know if it was like.
Okay. It definitely wasn't. It was 90s hip hop and R&B.
It was not no R&B.
Outkast is not gangster rap.
It was gangster rap. They was playing Snoop Dogg and everything.
They was not playing no Snoop Dogg.
They did play Snoop Dogg.
What song?
I don't remember.
They play Smack That All on the Floors.
It was fun.
They played Black Eyed.
You got to be particular and try to argue. Like, y'all wouldn't have never knew if they played gangster rap or not. But because you want to be cantankerous today, you had to say something.
You're not going to let them get off Black Eyed Peas and you call it gangster rap because they definitely playing Black Eyed Peas.
Gangster rap too.
Yeah.
It was fun.
It was a vibe. So if you're anywhere in the area, Lansing Shuffle is a definite recommend for a date night. Not a lot of activities there, but the food, you get tons of food options. If you're a drinker, there's tons of drink options. So highly recommend. So
and
we
when
did
they
that.
open up the biscuit bar, we in there. I can't wait. I don't even know what they sell.
It's just,
but if it has biscuits in the title, I'm all about it. Just for an example, today when we were at dinner somewhere else, a guy had a shirt on and I saw biscuits immediately. So I'm trying to read what his shirt's like. So I'm like, man, I hope it's somewhere around here. But it said biscuits and porn. I ain't gonna tell y'all what it is. Just Google it.
It's a restaurant, but the fact that it said
oh my God.
I thought you didn't want to tell them because of like you just didn't feel like it. I was trying to help. I was trying to do lighten the load. You trying to keep it suspenseful?
I just wanted them to go check it out like we did. That's all.
No, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Anyways, what are we?
It's a restaurant in a gas station, and they sell dirty magazines and biscuits, which is a weird combination. Apparently, like that's an old gimmick that isn't somebody, but I don't know. I haven't been there. If you're from North Carolina and you listen to us, shout out to y'all. If you've been there, maybe hit us up, give us some more information. But when you see that on a T-shirt, you have to Google that. Like, what? Biscuits and porn?
Yeah, it just caught my attention because I like biscuits. So
yeah,
I'm excited for a biscuit bar to open up inside of Lansing Shuffle, and then I will be back with another review.
I better hope them biscuits is good as much as you've been waiting on them.
Even if they ain't, I'm still gonna eat them.
Why?
Because it's a biscuit, and I like biscuits.
KFC sells biscuits. You ain't finna go get those?
Them not good biscuits.
That's what I'm saying. What if they taste just like that?
But I know that. So I'm going to go and eat them and try them.
Oh, you're saying either way you're going to try them.
Yes.
I got you. What's it called? Biscuits and stuff? What's it called?
No, it's just called Biscuit Bar.
Biscuit Bar.
Yes.
Interesting concept. I'm intrigued. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was part of our weekend. We got some new stuff for our bedroom. Some toys and some trinkets. We ain't going to go into all that. But it made me think about something. When is it like... Is it like a continual, like, let's keep spicing it up? Or do you wait until, like, you need to? I'm saying this because I'm worried that we might be emptying the clip too much. I have a limited, like, bandwidth of nasty. Like,
I don't.
Yeah, but see, that's good for you, but there's only so far I'm going to go. So if
you don't know that. We've already had this conversation.
I know that there's the unknown, but I know me.
Yeah, something you said you didn't want to do, I did last night, and you didn't had no objection.
What?
I'm not gonna take you on the podcast. What
You
is
ain't
that?
do nothing that you ain't
Yes,
never
I
did before.
Yes, I did.
It couldn't have been that juice. I didn't even know what happened.
Mm-hmm. See?
What'd you do? You must have thought you did something. You ain't do nothing.
Okay.
Dang. Can I turn down the mic? You tell me real quick.
Oh, we got a podcast. Come on.
All right, put a pin in it so I can know what's going on. But yeah, that still is an interesting conversation to me. Like, because I have a limited bandwidth of nasty that I feel like I'm gonna go. So I feel like I'm emptying the clip too early. So there's gonna be nowhere for me to go when we start.
I feel like you have to be very clear when you talk about nasty, because what we did last night was not nasty. It was just
To me it was.
Okay. Well, when we get to the sex episode, maybe we'll talk about this a little bit more in detail.
Well,
but
hold on.
I feel like
What does
just
nasty mean?
Like nasty is like
I can't believe we did that.
tossing salad and spitting in your mouth.
Nah. Okay. All right. All right.
That's nasty.
See, like I'm sweating because you just said that. See, that is not nasty. That's unhygienic.
What
and
we did
that's-
was freaky. It's not it's not nasty. It was just like
See how there's different shows for different folks. To me, that's my level. Like there'll never be a day. And I know you're saying you never know. I know there'll never be a day where you're going to spit in my mouth.
I don't want to do that. There's nothing sexy about that.
Okay, for sure. But I know that about me.
Okay.
I know there's certain things that I'm just not gonna be into. So I'm worried we emptying the clips too early. And for me, that's like that. To me, we're on the threshold of like what my limits are.
Oh my goodness! I feel like I have to in order for us to have this conversation, I'm gonna have to let y'all in. Yeah, we got a sex swing.
What?
So, it's not nasty to use a sex swing. It's just another position. It just helps you.
No, the swing isn't what was nasty.
Well, what was nasty?
It was just the manner in which, you feel me? It was the
gosh.
energy behind it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't the swing in and of itself. It was just I'm trying to be like modest, and I don't know how to talk about this without.
Then why did you bring it up?
You the one said, y'all, we got to. I was just I'm just talking about spicing it up in the marital bedroom.
Okay, to answer your question, I do not feel like we're emptying the clip too early.
Okay.
In those words. I think you should always keep it spicy. And I'm the type of girl that I feel like you throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. So I'm willing to try anything at least once.
Anything?
Anything. I don't know if I'm gonna like it. I mean, I know that I don't want to bring someone into our bedroom, like stuff like that. But between me and you, I think I'm willing to try anything at least once, just to be like, okay, we tried it and I don't like that. I'm cool with that.
All right.
So for me,
good to know.
like, it ain't nothing new under the sun, but people been doing stuff for a long time, and this stuff that people are out there doing right now that we don't have no clue, but somebody gonna mention it, and I'm gonna be like, yeah, look, we should probably try that. We should do that. So I think if we keep it curious and always want to explore and enjoy, then there's no such thing as too early. Like, that's just a mentality that we have, that we just want to keep exploring each other and new ways to enjoy each other. So yeah, I every time I see something on the internet or something, you look at this. You want to try this? Look at that. Look what they got. We was at the table, at the Pure Romance table at the marriage retreat. I'm like, you just having us look, or do you got product on hand? She's like, no, I got stuff in the car. Okay, let me pull up the catalog. We ordering stuff because we gotta keep it curious.
Yeah.
You never know.
I forgot to. I'm sorry if you was listening to this and you got kids in the car and something, but yeah, I've been meaning to do like disclaimers when we start talking about sex. Yeah, this isn't what the episode's about. This is just, we're just kicking
Whatever.
it today.
We're here.
We here. So yeah. Disclaimer: if you do have kids in the car, we apologize about that. Might want to cut this one off, but yeah. So yeah, that was good. Keeping it light, keeping it fun in the bedroom, I think is super important. And I think you bring up a good point, like staying curious and staying in the posture of like exploring and having fun. I think it just leads to not getting stale.
Yeah. I mean, of course, you can have bomb sex one way for the rest of your life. And as long as it's good and both of y'all are satisfied, some people don't need to.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Like,
this missionary gets it done.
This work, you enjoying yourself, I'm enjoying myself. I know this way I can get you there.
Good night.
Like, ain't nothing wrong with that either. For me, like, I'm good with our standard stuff 98% of the time.
Absolutely.
That other 2%, like, sometimes you just need to, like, no kids were in the house yesterday. Like, absolutely none.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen very often.
For sure.
Pull out the swing.
It's going down. We got 1 hour and 15 minutes.
We know when he was coming back from the gym. Hey, I'm coming out butt naked. Ain't nobody here.
All right. All right. Bring it in.
It's in. We married. I can say what I want to say.
Yeah, turn up.
And it's the truth.
Turn up. Yeah, nah. Good times. So, and honestly, we're still early. We're still early, and we're just 1 year in. So, I mean, even thinking about things again still at this point is like, okay, calm down. Yeah.
Stop catastrophizing.
You were just talking about something that came up on the feed. Speaking of anniversaries of things.
Oh yes. It wasn't our first live, but in my memories on Facebook, thank God for them, a live that we did 5 months into our relationship came up about communication. And you said that it was pretty bold of us to start having that conversation in front of people after only dating for 5 months. Like, who are we to be teaching you about communication when we barely have to communicate at this point?
Yeah.
But
and that wasn't the style though, right? Like, we've never been like, we're trying to teach you something. It's always been like, yo, this is our life. We're just kind of like Truman showing in front of everybody on the podcast. You know what I mean? But it's never been like, hey guys, here are 3 things to do to improve your, you know what I mean? Like, that's never been our vibe. But
I gotta take a sneaky segue real quick. Can I do that? I'm sorry.
Can we come back to this?
Well, yes. Okay. Well, we talked about anniversaries too. And I just want to say shout out to my brother and my sister-in-law because today is their 1 year anniversary. We love you guys. Happy anniversary. A relationship that I can say benefits from our openness and our curiosity and our questions. So we love y'all. Thank y'all for all the support that y'all give us. And happy anniversary.
Yep. And doubling down on that, since we're talking about the origin and kind of like the beginning of the podcast, those of you guys who are listening who have been with us since the Facebook Live days, like before it was an official podcast, when me and Brandy were just 2 whole years ago. So long. But 2 years ago, and for those guys who don't know, if you're new, me and Brandy just started doing Facebook Lives organically. We're having conversations at the crib, and the beginning of a relationship, we just talk like this. It's a podcast now, but we literally would just sit down and, you know, we were learning each other again and talking about communication and how do you work through arguments and all this stuff, like just talking like that. So there were a few conversations where we is loose, but we were like, let's share, you know what I mean? Let's get on live and welcome people in. So I think early on people were like, yo, like this should be a podcast. Like, when y'all doing the podcast again? And I'm like, number one, y'all don't know what a podcast is because
well, they still don't know what a podcast is.
Still don't know. People come on. There are people to this day, 2 years in, who watch us on Facebook Live on Tuesdays, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Wednesdays, 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. Shameless plug. And still think that is the only thing that we do. They have no idea about the YouTube channel. They have no idea about Apple Podcasts, Spotify, none of that. They only think what we do is the Facebook Lives. There's someone last time was just like, oh wait, there's an actual thing other than this?
Like, I always think that this is the podcast, and then you guys ask who listened to the episode, and I'm like, darn it. It is not. Wednesday is the live. That's how we started, so we always wanted to incorporate that. But it's an actual podcast that you can go stream or watch our beautiful faces on YouTube. But in the comments of that, so I just briefly scanned through the live. Did you have something else you wanted to say?
I didn't say shout out to y'all. I was saying for the people who have been with us since day one.
Yes.
I just want to say thank y'all so much for rocking with us all this time. We still here, we still going, and it's much appreciated. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, so I was scanning the comments of the live, and 3 people that I distinctly remember seeing were like, y'all got to let us know when y'all going to do the next episode so that we can be prepared. And I'm like, this is not a podcast. Like,
who were they? Because I want to make sure they be on now that it's a regular schedule.
Specifically, the one who said that was Kevin Davis. So he's the one that he
ain't been on a live since.
Not alive, but he
be tapped in with us.
He lives away,
for
so
sure.
Maybe he watches the podcast. But yeah, definitely people were saying, when's the next episode? Y'all should start a podcast. And so once we did that, it kind of blossomed into what you see now. But it started just from us, like he said, just having organic conversations in the living room. And this one was specifically about communication and how we are navigating having not even just difficult conversations, but just navigating communication, because our styles are very different. We talk about this all the time. And we talked about some of the things that were working for us and some of the things that weren't. So it was cool to see us back then, and some of the stuff that we talked about, and some of the stuff now where I'm like, girl, please, you don't do none of that.
It was interesting because, like, honestly, like, number one, I'm a nerd about like just talking and podcasting. So our style in which we engaged with the audience was so different. It was so extra. I felt like we were very aware, like we were on camera. Like, I don't know.
Really?
Maybe because it was early on, but it was like, why are we so like, I don't know. It just felt like, is that us? All right.
Us or you? Me too?
You. More you than me, because I'm always extra. Maybe this was like beginning relationship, Brandon, when you were all giddy and stuff. I don't know.
No, I think it was. I think I was still in this. So when he said we, and I mean that loosely, that was because I ain't never want to get on live. It was very
You never want to be on nobody's camera.
Russell was like, hey, let's take this conversation to Facebook. And I'd be like, I don't want to do this. They don't care about what we have to say. Like,
y'all know I'm hype about celebrating this 2 years, because I drag Brandon's podcast kicking and screaming.
Yeah, I didn't want to say. I don't want to have no podcast.
She didn't want none of this. But I honestly, like, and y'all know this now, for those of you guys who have listened to us for more than one episode, even just one episode, you know that she's just a wealth of knowledge and energy. Like, her spirit, I'm not going to turn this into like a fun moment, but she had something to say, and she has a voice that needed to be heard concerning specifically this relationship. You don't go through what we went through in divorce. You don't go through what we went through in relationship on multiple levels, whether that's family, marriage, without coming out with some oil. And we was oily in that season. It had to be released.
Ladies, get you a man that encourages you to come outside of your comfort zone, that just don't want to keep you the same way and sheltered and shielded just so that he is the only one who gets to see your goodness. But he wants to also expose that to the world so that you can grow and so that people can grow from you. And that's what Russell did for me. He showed me what God had already instilled inside of me and gave me permission to live fully in that, because I was cool. Like, nah, that's your thing. You can go ahead and have that. People don't really care what I have to say. And I was wrong. So shout out to you, because that was a large part of your doing, because I would have been cool just chilling.
I'm glad you were not comfortable, but I'm also glad that you got comfortable being uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So shout out to you for your willingness. But watching that video made me start seeing differences in our communication now versus back then. We were just learning how to communicate. Mm-hmm. And we were really excited about these things that were useful to us now. And one of the first things that stuck out to me was the truth moment. And for those of y'all that don't know, this podcast, the first name we came up with was the Truth Moment podcast. And the only reason we didn't call it that is because when we looked it up, there was another newlywed couple that had a podcast called The Truth Moment. We were like, well, that ain't gonna work. So it just wasn't for us. But it wouldn't even make sense now, because it's not even necessary.
Yeah,
that was
not
just
even a factor in our relationship. It was a tool that we use to bridge communication styles. Me being very like blunt in your face. Hey, this is what I got to say. Don't really care how it lands with you. It's my truth and you have to accept it. And Russell was a little bit more like, like if we gonna have this conversation, let me think of the best way for us to have it so that nobody walks away angry or upset, or, you know, we've heard each other out and we've exposed our feelings. And I was like, I don't really care about the feelings. This is just what I think.
It was clearly for me. Like, and I think back then my perception was that you're blunt and brash.
Yes. I mean, that's the truth, but
I don't know if it was more that or if more of I'm just sensitive. Back then I would say I don't know. I don't know, because I don't think that's my experience with you now. I don't know if you've changed or maybe you haven't changed. I've just gotten used to it, but it doesn't seem blunt or brash. It just seems like truth. And it's truth. Mm-hmm. Even if it's your truth, it's still truth. And I had come out of a context from my family all the way through my first marriage, even relationships I was in, where we skated around truth for comfort. Where if there is uncomfortable truth, we're not going to talk about it. There were truths I didn't even know that I grew up in.
Yeah.
But just being in the atmosphere of unspoken things, even though you don't even know none about it, but you're just marinating in that spirit.
It just creates this tension.
Listen to me. I grew up in that. So I was more comfortable sitting in the tension of unspoken things rather than the discomfort of, hey, yo, when you said this, it bothered me. Or, hey, look, that shirt's too tight. You need to, like.
See, and that's the stuff we can work through, right?
Yeah.
If it's spoken, we can work through how it made you feel, whether it's my truth or actually the truth. But when you don't speak those things, it just creates this thick air that nobody's talking about, but everybody feels. That seems very, uncomfortable just to walk around in.
It has to be said. Now on the other side of it, like, and don't get me wrong, this is still something that I'm growing in and evolving in, but it has to be said. You have to get it out. Because even though in the moment, even if you assess, like, you know what, like, this isn't really a big deal. Like, there's no point in bringing it up. Those little things, when you don't address them, they stay there. Mm-hmm. And when you have another little thing, now you got two little things. And before you know it, your whole little bucket done got filled up with a bunch of little negatives that honestly could have been cleared up with a conversation.
Absolutely.
Could have been cleared up with no, that's not what I meant. Or, man, you know what? You're right, I shouldn't have said that. Or whatever it is, a conversation can mend a lot of that. But when you don't address it, it builds and it builds and it builds and it builds. So I'm glad that early on, instead of just being like, oh, yo, you being just, you know, like, I'm going to just say what I got to say. You know, instead it was like, you know, hey, look, truth moment. And that let me put on my little imaginary seatbelt. Like, hold on, she finna say something. Hey, I feel like, you know, when you talk to your kid's mom, now we on sensitive subject matter, but I've already prepared myself because I'm like, okay, we're about to have a conversation. And it helps me keep it in perspective versus like, usually when I get hit with the truth, the first thing I do is like, oh, defense.
Yeah, it's a natural response.
Like, hold on, wait, nope, evade, weave, duck, dodge, dip. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I think, well, one of the reasons that truth moment is just not needed in our relationship now is just what you said. Like, we've just become comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations. But it's also not needed, I don't think, anymore, because I have learned to manage my truth, right? Before, I believed that a lot of my harshness and abrasiveness was out of a need to speak, right? I say it all the time. Like, in my household, my mom, my mom had a mouth, like she gonna fire at you, but you didn't have a lot of opportunity to say nothing back. Like it was whatever she said and that was it. And so a lot of times in my household, I felt stifled. I felt silenced. And when I started to grow up and grow into my own self, like I always felt like I had to fight to be heard. And so when I would talk, it would just come out exactly how I felt it. Now I know that just because you feel it, don't make it the truth, right? And so I can approach conversations now. I still come with honesty, but I think I have a little bit more sensitivity to it's somebody else at the receiving end of whatever you're going to have to say. And while I'm not trying to manage your feelings, I still care about them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you my truth, but I'm going to tell it in a way that's palatable for you and in a way that actually leaves space for us to continue to have a conversation. Because if I just come firing at you with, I don't love you and or whatever it is.
Sheesh.
I tried to figure out the most high thing that I could say.
That's it right there.
Like,
take the jugular out.
you know what I'm saying? It doesn't give us any room to discover where that feeling is coming from, or I'm mad at you, or I hate you, or I'm frustrated with you. Like if I'm just firing words at you that describe my feelings, but don't leave space for us to feel that with conversation, it's just going to cause you to shut down. So I just think that Truth Moment was a great vehicle in the beginning to just be like, look, I got something to say. I don't really know the best way to say it. So I need to say it how it's coming to me, and I need you to be ready for that conversation. So it wasn't just for you. It was for both of us for sure. And I recommend that to anybody who is in that space where maybe you just have a difficult time dealing with the truth and how it's going to make your partner feel. Like, just try that. Try saying, look, let's have a truth moment. I'm about to say something and I'm just going to say it plainly how I feel and leave space for us to work it out.
Yeah. And honestly, there's a lot, I believe, a lot of couples who struggle around this area of communication. And it's usually on the two extremes, right? It's the extremes that I think we find ourselves in, right? Someone is so harsh with their communication that it stifles the ability to be received from the person that needs to hear it, right? Whereas like, hey, you were out all last night and I really wish you would have let me know, kept me informed when you gonna come back, or communicate with me, answer my phone calls.
It comes off as
see that's that I'm talking about. Who that I know what if you was out about accusations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Your tone is crazy. You're aggressive. Now I can't even receive it because all of my energy is going into defending my actions versus hearing and empathizing with how what I did made you feel. Yeah. Everything is just, oh man, dang, like I'm automatically the victim now,
right?
Just based on how your words are making me feel.
And I think too, context plays a big deal in this because you don't know what people grew up in. Like somebody like me who grew up where people argue, it was very normal. So even if we're having an argument, sometimes for me it's okay if we're elevated. Maybe we're throwing insults in there. Like I can still communicate in that because that's what I'm used to. But if you have your partner who is not used to arguing, or maybe you grew up in arguing and now you're so adverse to it that if anything feels like that, you immediately shut down. When I come in on attack mode and I'm going into that trigger of, this is about to lead into an argument and I don't want that. So I'm just going to shut down. Nothing's going to get accomplished. Like I have to meet you at your level of communication. So if I understand that about you, I'm not going to come fire words at you and just be aggressive when I know I can't pull nothing out of you then.
Yeah. For me, I think I'm somewhere in between those two versions that you said. Like I think for me, we never, at least to my recollection, I don't recall hearing arguments about serious things. It was always like real surface, like, what was the name of that one actor? Oh, that was Sylvester Stallone. That wasn't him in that movie, but something small like that would just
could turn into
That's why even I still struggle with that. because growing up, now where I'm at now, I look back and be like, I wonder if those arguments were so intense because
There was
of
stuff.
underlying currents that
There
are
was stuff they
happening,
weren't
right?
talking about, yeah.
But growing up in that though, like I'm so used to that debate arguments. It's almost tempting to me. It's hard for me when I hear an opposing opinion or if I think somebody's wrong. I've learned to handle those differently, but it almost comes to it like, oh, I gotta prove them wrong, or I gotta, you know what I mean? Like, it's so important to be right. You know what I'm saying? And shoot, we just had a conversation, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but I was so proud of myself that we were able to have two different opinions. That was today. Two different opinions. And carry on. It didn't have to be a big argument. It's just like, I see why you would say that. I feel you. I don't know if I land there, but because that's not old me. Old me would like just take something so not trivial, but like so unconsequential to our relationship and put so much energy into it that it just kind of exasperates the person I'm talking to. It's like,
yeah, we've been there.
Yeah, I remember one of the biggest arguments I had was in college was the movie 5 Heartbeats.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling the story before. Yeah,
about if the person who was playing Eddie Kane was really singing or if he was lip singing.
Yes,
and I just couldn't let it go. I just kept going and kept going. That was like, bro, you know what I'm saying?
It's hard to have discussions with people like that. Like, it definitely creates a defensiveness in the person on the other end. And now, even if I did have something valuable to add to the conversation, sometimes I feel so defeated that it's like, bro, whatever, it's your way, you got it, whatever. Because now, like, I know there's going to be no resolve here. You have to be right, and I'm just tired of trying to prove you wrong. That now the conversation ends. And we had a little bit, maybe not necessarily of that in the beginning of our relationship, but we talked about this before. But in marriage counseling, one of the counselors that we were with noticed that when we were having discussions, especially high dollar, high value conversations where it's a lot at stake, we would get to a certain point in it where we not seeing eye to eye, so we just laugh it off or joke it off or we dead the conversation. And it's like nothing's getting accomplished here. We said a lot of words to each other, but because we felt, it's too much at stake here for us to continue this conversation. This could cause our relationship to end. This could cause us to actually get into a legitimate disagreement. We didn't want to risk that, so we just stopped talking. And that's a really dangerous place to be in your relationship, where y'all both know, like, it's a lot on the line here, but because there's so much on the line, we don't want to tap dance and go into that lane because it could possibly get rough. It could break even. And we don't want that. So we just don't talk about it. I'm so glad that he pointed that out to us so that we could get some awareness of, hey, we think we got this communication thing down pat, but somebody on the outside looking in is like, that's something y'all might need to work on because nothing's going to get resolved in that space.
Yeah, you think you're killing communication because you're not arguing, but you're not having the conversation altogether.
It's like, I hear you and you hear me. We don't agree, so let's just stop talking about it.
Yeah, and I think that's to me, in that, what I felt like was the missing piece was humility. You know what I mean? Like, when it came down to the nitty gritty of, I see it this way, you see it the other way. What do we do? Because at this point, whatever we do requires humility on somebody's part or both of our parts. Because the only way we come out of this is if there's a change in how we approach it, right? Yeah. So if we have a disagreement on co-parenting, on blended family, on something that's high stakes, something we're both emotionally charged about, it's not gonna go away. Right. These kids are gonna be here. The co-parent is gonna be here. The substratum of the problem is there. Twice. I'm gonna find a way to say that every episode. But the foundation of the problem is still there. Yes. So just because you're not talking about it
doesn't mean it goes away.
And as a matter of fact, it's going to be waiting on you every time. You know what I mean? So when we were going through our marriage counseling, and we're unearthing all of these like life things, finances, family, parenting, very consequential things.
Yeah.
It was so heavy that I'm like, I can't talk about this.
Right.
You know
It's
what I
too
mean?
much.
It's too much because I'm charged up, you're charged up. I don't see your way, you don't see it my way. But the bottom line is, I don't want to bend.
Yeah.
And your bottom line was, I don't want to bend. I want you to see what I'm saying. I want you to see what I'm saying.
One thing that this relationship has taught me that I think I needed in my life was how to manage and kill my pride. I didn't realize how prideful of a person I was until getting in this relationship, where the need to be right, the need to be heard, the need to feel validated was so big for me that other things that are really important and that really benefit our relationship could fall by the wayside as long as I felt good at the end of something.
Yeah.
Right. And I realized that my pride was getting in the way of our progress. And if I wanted to continue on in this relationship with you, that was a part of me that was going to have to die. And that's hard, especially for someone who is super independent. And I consider myself pretty strong, right? I've done a lot on my own merit without having to have someone right next to me. So I didn't want to feel like I was, okay, for lack of a better term, this is what I'm going to say, lower than someone else. I had to show you that I was your equal, and showing you that I was your equal to me meant if you like to argue, I can argue too. Like, you think you use big words? I got bigger ones. Like, and in these conversations and in these moments where we would come to the table and it was like you were very stern on your side, even if I saw your side and was like, you know what, he might be right, I could never let it go. Like, no, you might be right, but I'm more right, and let me show you this. And that was causing a huge block in our relationship. And it's still something that I think I wrestle with personally, but I've learned to manage that in a way that is beneficial for our relationship instead of detrimental.
Yeah. And I don't know if it ever completely goes away. I think it's something that just kind of keeps getting chipped at and keeps getting chipped at. But I think to that end, I think I still struggle with that.
Yeah.
I have to talk to myself. Like, even today when I felt myself getting emotionally invested in our conversation, which is non-consequential to me and you.
Yeah.
This does not affect our relationship in any way. We have a different viewpoint on a subject matter. Pride says, I'm right, and I got to show you you're wrong. Pride says, oh, you made a good point, but I can't admit it because I want to be right and I can't be wrong. But in any area, especially when it comes to things that are consequential, like when we're figuring out life, like we were in marriage counseling, like it takes humility to be like, hey, look, I'm not sure I see it the way you see it, but I can see how it affects you. I can see how this hurts you. So let's adjust this and let's adjust that.
And there's a lot of people who are in relationships, myself included, I'm not singling nobody out, who feel like once you get in there, you don't have to change. You don't, like, if you do the work to heal, the healed version of yourself that goes into this relationship is okay. It's fine. And you never have to change that.
Oh, you a lie?
That was me. Like, I was like, no, I done all this work and I spent 3 years by myself. God done came in and saved my life. I'm sanctified, saved, and filled with the Holy Ghost. Like, you gonna love all of this and you don't have no choice because this is the healed version of me. Like, this is the version that you get to deal with. But what I realized is, number one, healing is a process, right?
Yes.
You're not healed you're healing.
Yeah.
I definitely thought like God had healed me. All the stuff that was wrong before, now there's nothing else wrong. I am perfect. This is a picture of perfection here. You welcome. Thank you. You get to be a part of my life.
All right.
But what I realized is like, again, healing is a process, and I'm going through this process with you. And as things come up in our relationship, I still have to make adjustments. I still have to be able to bend and to flex to be in this relationship with you. If I wanted to just be in a relationship with myself, cool, I ain't got to change. But because I choose to be in a relationship with you, there are things that you require of me, that you need for yourself, that you need me to provide, and I have to be willing to do that, even if I feel like the way that I communicate is the best way that you should communicate. If it doesn't match up with how you communicate, I have to make some adjustments. You're not the only one that needs to change.
Yeah.
That was a hard sell. And it wasn't you that was trying to sell that to me. That was the Holy Spirit. Like, girl, you killing this man. Like,
All right. All right.
Yes, you are healing, but you still have to change. You still have to be adaptable to be in a relationship. It is two people coming together to produce one thing, right? Not two separate people who are trying to figure it out along the way. I was trying to be like, I'm good. Where do you need? What are your areas of improvement that you need? Let me help you. Let me help you heal, because I'm good over here. I done did the work.
Interesting. Yeah, nah, it's you bring up a lot of good points, and I think like the flagpole that where I'm putting my flag down is, how'd you put it? You said healing is a process or a journey?
Healing is a process.
Healing is a process, and I think that's such a good point, because a lot of us have this idea of like who we are. Mm-hmm. And that idea is so solidified to us. Mm-hmm. But all of who you are is not good. Like, wait, hold on, wait. I didn't say that right. Wait. Like, there's certain things about all of us that need improvement.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, there are aspects of our personality that have been part of us so long that in our mind, we just be like, yo, this is me. Mm-hmm. This is who I am. Mm-hmm. It's not, though. It's not, though. And if you really knew the origins of that trait, you'd be like, oh, dang, that's how that got there. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, you feisty. Yeah, you got attitude. Yeah, you don't take no bull. Okay, great.
Because you needed to survive in a certain environment, though.
That was forged from a need to survive. Those are great traits in that habitat. But when you're not in the jungle and you're in a household now you being a lion don't work. Mm-hmm. Now you got to learn how to be a house cat. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, that don't work here in this environment.
That's true.
It served you out there. But when you've been elevated, when you've been moved and transitioned into a new season, there are aspects of you that have to die off. Mm-hmm. Because they don't serve you anymore.
Absolutely.
And a lot of those things we call personality. That's not personality.
And a lot of those things are only birthed or exposed when you're in relationship with certain people, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I could have thought, Brandy, all the work you've done, you have corrected all of the bad things. You've learned the origin of those things. And now the person that stands before you today is ready and healed and ready for a relationship, right? But once I get in relationship with you, that point of growth that I've reached, it can't just stay stagnant like that forever, right? There's other things that need to be pulled out of me, and they're only pulled out of me because I'm in relationship with you. The way you love, the way you care, the way you pay attention exposes certain things that I still need to work on. For instance, being here and being comfortable sharing my voice. Where I was okay playing the background. I was okay being the supportive person and playing that role. But in this relationship, it requires me to change and adapt and step up and be a voice with you. And in order for me to do that, I have to let go of that previous version that I thought was the best version of myself. And I have to grow up into something else. And now I'm okay with that. But if I would have just been like, no, I've done all my work. This is me. I don't speak. I don't talk.
Yeah.
Like I did all that back then and nobody wanted to hear me. And then I did it and I pushed people away. So now I'm good right here. But God wasn't done with me right there.
Yeah.
And if we get so married to this idea of ourselves, like we'll never be anything else. And that's scary. I don't want to be the same person that I was at 28
Absolutely.
for the rest of my life.
That's scary.
It's very scary. It's very scary. Like at 28, she grew up from the 19-year-old little girl who had to grow up and raise her baby. She grew up into a woman, but that woman that I was at 28, it doesn't even serve the world, the environment that I'm in right now. Like she don't belong here. Like now you got to grow up a little bit more.
Yeah.
This
absolutely.
season of your life requires a different version of you.
And what's so dope about God, one of the like many dope things he does, one thing that I'm starting to realize is how he utilizes relationships. Of course, like they're just good for us. And, you know what I'm saying? Like in the creation narrative, you know, he looked at Adam, it's not good for you to be alone. And that's a very, you know, broad statement. Okay, why isn't it good? You know, it seemed like he was with you. You know what I mean? Like
He was
seemed like it should have been all good. Like he had a job, he had it made. But I'm starting to see how God utilizes relationship for our development.
Absolutely.
It's like such a tool that he utilizes, right? And different relationships will bring different things out of you. There's so many things I didn't know about myself until I was a dad. When I became a father, I had no idea I could be so caring. I had no idea I could be so doting. I had no idea that I could be selfless. Everything up to that point was about me. But now there's this life that looks like me, that came from me, and instantly, like there's this love I feel, and it pulled stuff out of me that I didn't know was there. Every little like, you know, the first kid, like
Right.
you know, by the third one, you be all right, you know. But my first child, I literally everything he did, I was looking up. I had this book called What to Expect.
Oh yeah.
There's
First
one that's
years or something like that.
what to expect when you're expecting, and then there's what to expect your first year. And literally every day I was going to see what I should expect that day. And when he did something new that I didn't recognize, like, what does that mean? I'd go to the book. But it showed me discipline. It showed me, like, when I love somebody, how much I'm willing to invest my time and energy for their well-being. And it's the same thing with when God brings people in your life, even, and watch this, even when it don't go good, even when
Absolutely.
it goes bad, those relationships reveal things about you. And in our mind, we like, yo, I wasted this many years. I can't believe, like, why would I go through all of that? And now just to not be with them. And that relationship never was for you to be with them. It was for you to be with this new version of you. It's so you can see, nah, you can't tolerate that. Or you don't know how to talk to people. You don't know how to communicate. You have a hard time saying difficult truths. You're selfish. You're too selfless. You don't factor in yourself in anything you do. You're dying by being in a relationship because your needs don't matter to yourself. But they reveal you. And the really dope relationships don't reveal you through pain. They reveal you through the trial and error of nurturing a love. So I'm really thankful for, and I think that's why that video resonated with me the way it did, because it showed me how I thought then, how I viewed communication then, and where we're at now. I'm like, man, that was like, what we was talking about then was like mashed carrots. It's baby food. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, back then I was like, oh, this is deep. We're spitting. But like when I look back on now, it's like, man, that was like just ground level of, and even now, like we're just 1 year into our marriage, so I know we're still growing, we're still evolving, but communication, I think is, I'm trying to think of, not communication. That's too absolute. It's very important. Yeah. I was going to say it's the most important. I don't know that. But communication is so important in any relationship. When we talk about romantic relationships, when you talk about with your spouse, you cannot be successful in a relationship without it.
Yeah. I want to go back to something you said because you kind of advanced and concluded the conversation there really quickly. But
my bad.
When you talk about relationships and how they serve you and what they're meant to pull out of you, I think a lot of us are so quick to mourn a situation that has maybe ended tragically, maybe ended amicably, or maybe just ended and you had no resolution there. But it would behoove us to go back and really see what was instilled in us. What was the purpose of that season of our lives? I remember so distinctly my first lady at the time who was going through, she had been diagnosed with cancer and she was going through radiation and chemo treatments. And she got up at church one day and she said, "I thank God that I had cancer." And I was like, that seems so obtuse to anything that we would ever think, like thanking God for giving you cancer. I could not wrap my mind around it until my divorce was final. The period of separation, I was like, this is tearing me apart. I hate going through divorce. I just want my marriage back because I want to feel whole, right? I want to be complete. I want to be okay. And in this season of like unknown that was leading up to divorce, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that peace. I didn't feel that solace. And I couldn't see how something so bad, somebody could be thankful for that, right? Until it was final. And I saw what that relationship produced in me. To once feeling so strong and so independent, and then I'm saying losing this, but I don't mean this in a negative way, and losing that in a relationship and being so codependent on someone for my existence, I lost the very thing that I felt like at the time made me me, which is that very strong sense of self, which I didn't think could exist inside of a relationship at the same time. And once I got divorced, I was able to find her again, right? It took me a bit, but I found her again and I got happy with her and I was okay with who she was. And then I got into a new relationship and I saw how those two things could coexist, how I could be fully Brandy and still be your wife or your girlfriend, right? Where I didn't have to lose those things that I know make me personality, wit, sass, those things that I know are just core parts of me, the funniness, the adventure. Like I had lost all of that. But then outside of divorce, I saw that I could be okay with her. She could live and be free and still be loved by someone. And that was a really dope feeling. And then I was like, man, I see what she means. Like, I thank God for divorce because I had to lose her in order to find her. Why'd you laugh?
Huh?
Why'd you laugh?
I'm enjoying what you're saying. And you feeling yourself. I notice I keep refer to yourself as she and her. I'm like, she feeling stuff. She's funny. She's sassy.
Well, it's so
she
weird
has
when I'm
wit.
like, I'm.
I had to lose her to find her.
I did.
She's really her.
It's true.
I want to step on your point.
You already did, but
just,
it's okay.
You should mind your business. Why you worry about them over here smiling about? Don't be peering into what I'm laughing about.
It's all right.
Nah, but you're spitting. You're spending 100% because all that stuff just gets lost. And honestly, like, there's no way that we work without what we've been through. Like, in a perfect world, if we just never broke up in high school, just stayed together, high school sweethearts, just, the reverence that people have for that. Oh, they're high school sweethearts. Like, but that never broke up, stay together. This doesn't work. Or say we didn't stay together, but we just got back together, never had our first marriage, went straight into this one.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't work without the scars that I left with.
Nah, I don't think I could have learned what I learned about me with you, if that makes sense. I don't think we would have survived that.
Nah. No, you couldn't handle the older version of me.
The same.
And the older version of me couldn't handle the older
Absolutely
version of you.
not. Tearing up stuff, weren't ready to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you would have been like, okay, she's crazy. I gotta go.
Yeah.
I can see it already.
Call my mama. Go pick me up.
Shit, throw something at me.
I'm locked in the room. She trying to kick down the door. Come on.
That stuff had to be burned away in other relationships before we could walk into this.
For real. But it's I think it's just important for everybody who like, because there's a lot of people who like, I see it in the comments, we get DMs, and there's so many people who are like, hey, love what y'all doing. My personal experiences, I just came out of a long-term relationship, or I came out of divorce, or I'm dealing with this in my current relationship. Nothing is wasted. No experience, no tears, nothing is wasted.
Nothing should be wasted.
God,
sometimes we waste it.
God wastes nothing. God wastes nothing. Everything that you're going through is very intentional for where he's taking you. Even the stuff that he didn't orchestrate, even the stuff that you did yourself, he can still use it. He can be like, you know what?
You messed up.
You messed up. Well, let me show you how I can turn this thing around for you good. You know what I mean? So
oh, I seen a dope thing about that scripture. Can I just for a second steal Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts? She said a lot of people misinterpret or misquote that scripture where it says the enemy meant what the enemy meant for evil, God turned it around for good, and that the scripture actually doesn't say that.
No, isn't it? You meant it for evil, but God meant
it for good.
That's what the scripture is.
Right. And how again, that's turned around, like, oh, it was an evil plan that God came in and intercepted and turned it and made it good. But like, no, what our idea of good is not God's idea of what good is, right? Our idea of good is there's no pain, there's no disappointment, like everything is perfect, so that makes it good. But a certain situation that did cause you pain, that did cause you hurt, that did cause you disappointment, it can still be good. God still meant it for good. Like, he needed you to experience that so that this part of you could be birthed for your next season. So like, even though you feel like it's not good, God means it for good. Like, the enemy can get into your mind and make you see it as bad because it doesn't fit our narrative to what good is. But God can still mean it for good, and he can still use it to produce something in you that you never even knew existed if you see it as good.
Absolutely.
Sorry.
You spitting. I was having a conversation with a coworker, and I was trying to encourage. She was like, man, I got this vision for my life, and I had a vision for what it was gonna be, and it's not happening, and it's making my relationship with God waver because what I saw isn't what I'm living. Mm-hmm. And I was like, don't let that vision fool you. Like Joseph in that story, where the quote comes from, where he was like, you meant it for evil, but God meant it for my good. He had a vision very young of what his life was going to be. Mm-hmm. God didn't show him how he was going to be that version of himself.
Right? He was going to be in the pit. He's going to be in prison.
He didn't tell him like, oh yeah, you're going to be elevated, but he didn't tell him for you to be elevated, the path is going to take you through some dark places. Mm-hmm. But when you look at the story, everywhere he went, there was something that was developed in him.
Absolutely.
And a key part in how he got elevated. Mm-hmm. If he never got put in the pit, he never would have made it to Potiphar's house. Mm-hmm. If he never got put in Potiphar's house, he never would have got in a situation where he got put in prison. Mm-hmm. If he never got put in prison, he never would have interpreted those dreams. Mm-hmm. If he never interpreted those dreams, he never would have made it to the palace. He don't tell us how we gonna get there.
I wish he would.
But it's so dope that he gives us a glimpse of what his intent is.
Yeah.
You know what I
And
mean?
think of if God did say, yes, one day you will be here, but you have to walk through this, this, and this in order to get there. How bad would we try to avoid those things?
You know what?
If God told me to get to you, I had to go through divorce, I'd have been like, I don't want it.
I'm good. Hey, look, you gonna have it with Brandy, but here's what's gonna happen on the way. Whoa. Hold on.
Is it gonna be worth it? Because this right here, this is ghetto.
Nah.
All these relationships, this is very, very ghetto.
For real. For real.
I would have did everything to avoid that. Oh, God told me I was gonna meet you and this was gonna happen. So I ain't gonna deal with you. I'm gonna go over here or I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
And we just delaying our blessing by fighting against the path that he has us on. If you believe that God has you in his hands and he has an ultimate destination for you, if you truly believe that, you'll be willing to walk through the fire. You'd be willing to go through the pit. You'd be willing to get in the furnace a little bit because you know he gonna save you.
Yeah. But I'm glad he don't tell me he gonna do it.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm like, yo,
I
just-
don't even need to know.
Like,
at
just
this
do
point.
it. Do what you're gonna do. But
At
like,
this point.
don't tell me beforehand. Like,
I used to pray for that. I used to be like, God, just show me what you need me to do, what you did. No, you know what? I don't need a glimpse because my thoughts ain't your thoughts.
Yeah.
And as soon as you tell me I got to work hard, I'm going to cry, I'm going to lose somebody,
yeah.
I'm probably going to opt out. So you just go ahead and do it. And I trust that you're going to get me through it.
That part. You tell me the God's people coming out of Egypt, if they knew they was gonna be in the wilderness that long, they said, you know what?
40 years?
We gonna stay here. We're gonna like
It ain't that bad.
it ain't that bad. I mean, I'm used to it at least. So I'm gonna chill here.
He feed us.
Got a house.
Like,
You know what I'm saying?
got a little bit of
Got a
land.
bed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm telling you. But ultimately, like, God has such dope plans for his people. And that ultimate thing that we want, that fulfillment, that joy, that happiness, is tucked away in the thing that he created you for. It's tucked away in the plans that he has for you. So even though we might be like, I don't want to go through this, the joy that you get when you finally get to the place that he had for you all along makes up for every single experience you've had.
Even when,
Yeah.
I was saying, even when you just get the revelation of like, even if you ain't made it to the final destination, but you've made it past that one part and you get revelation for why that season of your life was necessary, I don't question it no more.
Nah. I'll just be like, I understand it by what the old folks say,
By and
by.
by. I understand it better by and by.
Yeah, that is. There it is. Like, I don't understand it now, but when I look back, I see that you had me in the palm of your hands the whole time. Even when I'm thinking I'm going rogue, you still had me in your hands. Even when my life is completely upside down, I look back, you were with me the whole time. And even when I ran away, you still took that experience and was like, yep, I got you. You know what I mean?
I remember when we first started praying together, and it was a constant part of our prayer that we would pray for our finances. Have you noticed that has changed? We're not asking God for a specific, like, God, bless our finances, give us increase, we need this. In my mind, I stopped praying for that because I remember us having a conversation and being like, when we get what God has promised to us, when we get to that place, we're going to look back at these moments and we're going to be able to encourage people that like, look, we ain't have it. We had the NSF fees. We had to go sell stuff to get the money that we needed for this. My phone was cut off. Like, we're going to have those conversations and be able to show God's glory, his hand, his mercy, and his provision in all of it. So now I'm not even praying to get through the rough season because I already know. Like, I know that he gonna get us there. So what do you need from me in this season? You need me to start to manage what you giving me right now. Okay, cool. Got that check. Come on. Where the next at?
That part.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'm enjoying the season. I'm enjoying the journey, and it was a treat. I'm glad you pointed it out to me because that came up in my memories too, but I think I just kind of swiped by it. But it was a good little blast from the past, and I think it inspired some really dope nuggets that I left with. Like, it's funny how, like, at the time, even then I was like, oh, we got this thing down packed.
Really?
we got this thing covered. Leah, let me talk to y'all real quick. Let's go live. This is what we do. We got this thing called Truth Moment. Like,
we also talked about Are You Open? But that was another thing that we tried to use in our relationships. We would say, are you open to feedback after you've...
Yeah, I still use that. I don't use it with us no more because I think we've just kind of created an environment where, you know, I can kind of feel like this ain't the time to say that.
Don't try to fix it, right?
Yeah, or and we still might have some language that's kind of like, hey, I want to say something, you know what I mean? But I still do that. Like on my job, I counsel kids, I counsel, you know, my staff, the people I work with, and I always lead them with like, hey, I've got a perspective if you're open to it, you know, that's kind of different than, you know, kind of how you're approaching this. And that just sets a precedence of like openness for what you're about to say. And it takes down the defenses.
Yeah, sometimes people just not open. Like sometimes
tell me,
yeah.
Like there's no harm, no foul. I'd rather you tell me so I don't waste my words.
Absolutely.
I'm really big on that in this season.
Oh yeah.
I am not trying to waste words or energy. Like, yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But
if you ain't open, if you don't want to change, if you don't want to hear a different perspective that's not as pessimistic as the view that you currently have, cool, go about your way. But I'm not the person you need to vent to right now.
I'm not fighting with nobody about so I get, especially I think since I've started sharing outwardly, kind of like I get a lot of, can I talk to you, or can I hear your perspective? When that happens, I get so frustrated when people like want to argue. I'm like, you came to me. Like, so
yeah, but
I'll tell you what, hope it works out for you, player. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not finna argue with you. You came to me. But I'm really big on, and this is why I don't have a huge circle. I don't have a big circle at all. There's a lot of people I got love for, but I don't let a whole lot of people in because I know how I pour.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know when someone's in my circle, what my posture is. And I thought everybody was like that, but as I got older, I'm like, no, not everybody's like that. Not everybody's just concerned about their well-being and stuff. Yeah. So I'm like, I got to be careful who I let into that. So I'm really guarded with that. So if you've ever hit me up and want to talk, and I talk to you, or you hit me up in the DM like, yo, it's because I felt led to do it, but I'm not wasting words.
Period.
Anyway, if you ain't open, cool. I'ma shut up. That's a good one to take away. That's still gold. I'm glad you brought that up because I forgot about that. Yeah, I should definitely use that in relationships. We don't do a lot of advice stuff, but that's a good one.
Especially for the person in the relationship who is a fixer and you feel like your words are not being heeded to. So then it creates this space where you feel like you don't listen to me. Like, I don't want you to fix this situation right now. Really what I want you to do is just listen to me and be empathetic to what I'm feeling. And then maybe at a later date, we can talk about how to fix it. But right now, I'm just feeling stuff and I need somebody to talk to. But if you're naturally a fixer and when somebody comes to you and you're like, okay, well, let me tell you what you should do, and you hitting me with reason when I'm still in my feelings, yeah, of course you're gonna feel shut down because I'm not open to receive what you're about to say to me. So that is a tool to just be like, hey, look, okay, I hear you and I understand. Are you open to hearing something? And even if they weren't open at that point, they can get open. Like,
it's just not the time for it. Like the soil is not ready for no type of.
It's not ready to be tilled.
Yeah, don't tell me. Like, this is not ground for no type of seeds. I don't want no type of nutrient. Yeah. So like, it's so important that when you're speaking, when you're communicating, that there is grounds for reception. Because if not, you're just exchanging words and blabber like that. If I'm trying to give you something and you don't want it, what we look like doing this power struggle, I'm not ready for this. I'm still upset. I'm still angry. I'm frustrated. Give me a minute.
And if you're somebody that struggles with this, I'm going to go look it up. But I believe it's a parable about this in the Bible that should help you, about the man that was sowing seeds on the hard ground, on the ground that had thorns in it, and then the ground that was right for, you know, I don't know the scripture, the number. I don't know the reference. I'm listening. I'm going to be very honest. But I know it's a
I'm
parable.
gonna look it up. I'm gonna bring it back to y'all.
Jesus, that we on the kickback, I'm coming back with that parable.
All
But
right.
there's definitely a parable that Jesus talked about the soil that was right for planting. So
Okay.
don't be that. Don't be the thorny one.
Yeah. And if you are, just wait a minute. Let yourself calm down. Yeah.
Or if you're the person that's trying to drop the seeds, just wait for them to be ready. There's always a season where somebody's ready to hear.
And you might not never be the person for that. Maybe they don't want to hear that from you. Don't waste your words. Don't waste your words. What's the Bible say? Don't cast pearls before swine.
Yeah.
Just keep it to yourself. They'll be all right. God got them. Yeah. I'm going. It's Sunday night. I'm sure y'all listen to this on a Tuesday, but I'm finna go upstairs, Netflix, eat some fattening desserts, and go to sleep.
Wow. Such a plan.
It sounds
Anyway.
lit. Don't lie.
Join us Wednesday for the live episode Kickback on Facebook and on YouTube. That is at 8:30 Eastern Standard Time. And if you can't catch us there, catch it Thursday when we upload it to all streaming platforms, and the live will always be on YouTube for you to go back to. If you would like to support the show, you can hit us up on our Cash App. That is $ what they never told us. Again, $ what they never told us.
How are y'all week after week watching this show and you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel? The nerve of you. Subscribe.
If you made it to this far in the video, you might as well just go ahead and click it. You are a part of the family now. If you make it past 1 hour,
You made it to the end where we started doing the little infomercial. Subscribe.
Go
You're
ahead
part of
and
the
click
fam.
it.
Also, if you know somebody who needs to hear this conversation, you know someone who's struggling in this area of their relationship, share the episode with them. Say, hey, homie, hey, girl, listen to this. I think it could be helpful. That's all we ask. We love y'all,
we love love.
and y'all should love too.
Peace.
Peace.